USA! USA!
We have an action-packed hour for you 6 p.m. drivers.
Would I rather be feared or loved? Easy, both. I want people to be afraid of how much they love me.
Matt Skraby wraps up a full day of live and local sports talk.
And that is the whole problem with aliens. You just can't trust them. Occasionally you meet a nice one, but usually they turn out to be some kind of big lizard.
The Skraby Show starts now on 97.3 The Fan.
Hello and welcome into the Skraby Show for November 4th, 2025. Thank you so much for joining me tonight. We got a lot of stuff to talk about tonight. One very unexpected news item to talk about that I did not think that we would be talking about when I woke up this morning, but we are facing that, so we will talk about it. And it's not a good one. If you're just getting in your car, Yu Darvish is going to be out for 2026 with after getting UCL surgery on his right elbow. So he is not going to be an option for the Padres in 2026. But we will get to that in just a second. We also need to talk about some of the free agents, pitchers out there, and see if there's anyone out there that the Padres could scoop up to try and fill his place. There's about 6 guys that are at the top of the list that we could talk about. And also, I'm going to try and break down my thoughts about baseball and the way rosters are constructed and the way money is done in regards to the roster, the luxury tax. I guess it's really called a competitive balance tax. But I did go through a lot of numbers, and I'm going to say it 100 times. If this was the Yankees doing this, I would be saying the same thing. If this was the Mets doing this, I would be saying the same thing. But unfortunately for us here in San Diego, it is the Dodgers doing this. And so it's something that we have to deal with as a Padres fan. And I think last year proved to us that, yes, Padres could have won the division. And yes, you have to play the games out to, for the results. You can't just crown a champion before you actually play any games. But at the same time, I think the top level teams in big cities, and we're going to the small market stuff, but I do think that they have, especially now, they have a little bit of an upper hand. So we'll go through that, and then at the end of the show we'll see what we have left. But there's another college football coach who got fired over the weekend, and so I wanted to talk a little bit about that, but that's only if we get to it, because these conversations might be so great that we never get to it. Daily Gripe is actually from the chat today. It's from Dominic. So, Dominic just popped into the chat right now. So I'm going to tell Dominic's Daily Gripe. And we already heard my Daily Gripe about the sandwich and about the chips and all this other stuff. And I think it's funny that all the guys now in the chat that are married or have been in long relationships are telling me, just get used to it, buddy. Just get used to it. But if you missed it, go back to 420 in Gwen and Chris, and I tell a story about how I was treated so poorly in the food department by someone close to me. And it's only in the food department. And trust me, I've got the messages. This is only bad news for you, Scrape. Don't bring this stuff up. It's going to be okay, because I am a jokester. So anybody who knows me, any of my friends, anybody close to me, know that things that they do can and will be said on the radio. That's just part of knowing me. So go back to 420, Gwen and Chris, if you would like to hear about that conversation. You can watch the show on Facebook, 97.3 The Fan, YouTube. You can go to 97.3 The Fan. Also, if you go to the Skraby Show on YouTube, please subscribe too, because again, I'm trying to get to another level on the YouTube so that I can do more. They don't allow you to do certain things until you get to a certain level. So I'm trying to do that. Go to youtube.com/@theskrabyshow and subscribe there. Also, you can go and watch on X, Matt Skraby, and then Twitch, 97.3 The Fan. Lots of different things places that you can go to watch the show. And I appreciate all the nice comments about the story I told on Friday, the Halloween story that I wrote and told during the Halloween spectacular that I had on Friday. I was very nervous about it. I was very self-conscious about it, but a lot of nice comments. So I appreciate everyone there. It was I hope everybody had a good Halloween. Mine was pretty it was pretty, there was nothing to report, so that was good. There was no smashed pumpkins in my neighborhood. There was nothing with fireworks or anything like that because my dog gets really scared by the fireworks. However, I will tell this. Lucky over the weekend and his cohorts, my parents' dogs, Kelly and Corky, yes, Corky, they decided, or I don't know that I don't know what exactly happened, but it was Sunday morning and I hear a ruckus in the backyard, and I'm going and I look out the window and I see the dogs running around in the neighbor's backyard. I'm like, how in the world did they get over there? So this is like 6:15 in the morning, and I get dressed, run outside trying to wrangle the dogs. Well, the fence that is up on the hill that we have, it is older. So it has been rusted and it does need to be replaced. But somehow the dogs knocked over the fence and broke it. And then they had like some sort of jailbreak into the other yard. And I gotta say, my parents' dog Corky, he's like a little mutt. He's like a Yorkie, Chihuahua, pug, everything, dachshund. He's everything. But he really enjoys making me chase him around the yard. And that was one of the most challenging things I think I've ever done in my life with an animal, because he was angering me so much that I was like to the point where I was just going to turn around and walk away and hope he ran away, because it was that bad. He kept, every time I went to go get him, he would run away from me. He thought it was some game, and then he would run into bushes, and then he would run in circles. And so I'm the idiot who's fallen in bushes on the hill and like stepping in mud that's on the hill. I'm in this neighbor's yard. So it was a lot. Dominic says, could you describe the ruckus, sir? The ruckus was a big, loud crash and then dogs barking at other people around the neighborhood because they were in a new area of the yards. Like, it was very frustrating. I mean, people who have kids, I'm sure, are frustrated all the time. And I know these are just dogs, but really, it was brutal. The ruckus was them knocking over the fence, jumping through bushes, barking at things, just doing all the things that you don't want your dog to do at 6:15 in the morning. On the chat, there's probably few scenes more wholesome and comical than an angry Skraby running in circles trying to catch his dog. I'm not going to disagree with you. I felt like an idiot at the time, still kind of feel like an idiot, but if someone was watching, I think they would probably laugh, including myself. If I saw someone up on the hill doing that, I would definitely laugh at them. Anyway, had to get that story off of my chest because it was a Sunday morning to forget. That is for sure. Also, the news that we learned earlier is something that I wish we could forget as well. Padres pitcher Yu Darvish underwent successful UCL repair surgery with an internal brace on his right elbow last Wednesday. So this has been almost a week now. But he is going to be out for 2026. The timeline for the recovery is about 12 to 15 months. And so he will not be available at all for the Padres next year. Now, my mind went in a couple directions first. And the first one is, man, this contract is not working out for the Padres. And I thought it was a interesting contract to begin with because you're giving a 36-year-old player a 6-year deal. So you're signing them from 2023 to 2028. By the time this contract is over, Yu Darvish would be 41 years old when he signed at 36. The thing about the contract is, I guess if you think about it, Yu Darvish is a guy who takes care of himself. If there's anyone who's going to be able to pitch into their 40s effectively, I think Yu Darvish would be one of those guys. I think that Yu Darvish is one of those baseball or pitchers that figures out how to get guys out as he goes through his career and reinvents himself. He's got so many different pitches, but at the same time, you gave a 36-year-old 6 years, $108 million. So he made $25 million in 2023, and then last year he made 16. 2024 he made 16 million. 2025, 21 million. And then this is like, I guess the good thing is that his contract drops to no more than $16 million over the last 3 years of the deal. I don't really understand this deal. And maybe it goes back to the conspiracy theory that they signed Yu Darvish because they were trying to get Roki Sasaki, or they're trying to get some of the players from the Japan Baseball League to want to come to the Padres. And so we know that Yu Darvish was a big part of that push for Roki Sasaki. Obviously, it did not work out with Roki choosing the Dodgers, but I think we have to look at this contract and ask questions, like ask why. It doesn't even really seem like this is something that AJ Preller would do. And I know that AJ Preller's name is on all of these contracts, but I think there are a lot of different there's obviously a lot that goes into offering these types of deals and deciding that that's the route you want to go down. So it's not all AJ Preller. And there's other contracts, the Xander Bogaerts contract. I don't know anything. They don't seem like contracts that AJ Preller really wants to get into. AJ Preller is a creative guy. He doesn't seem like he's going to be a guy who's just like, here's 10 years, $250 million to Xander Bogaerts or whatever it is. Again, I don't know that it wasn't all just AJ Preller, but I would have to think that there were people within the franchise pushing for these guys to be signed. Now, Xander Bogaerts, I don't think anyone thought he was ever going to live up to that contract. So I don't even really want to take the time to argue about it because it is what it is. It's not a great contract, but this one is something that is strange to me. It just doesn't happen all the time where you give a 36-year-old $100 million. Like, and I'm not saying that there's any funny business or anything like that. I'm saying that there was another reason behind this, because right now, this contract, not even now that he's going to miss 2026, this contract has not been great. In 2024, he was away from the team because of the personal reasons. And again, we've all talked about that. We've all determined that if there was something that he needed to do, and I believe he did he forgo his salary? I can't remember if he did or not. So that part of the contract, he wasn't really available to pitch until end of the year. Last year, he was hurt, and then he came back at the end of the year and then pitched in the game 3 of the playoffs against the Cubs. And so, and he didn't really live up to the contract this year either. And there's a whole other thing now that Chris brought up earlier from some of the people on social media. Like, was he an injured starter when they put him out there to start against the Cubs in game 3? My thought is no. I don't think that the Padres are going to put a guy in that is even 75% in a game 3 in a do or die game in the playoffs. I think that to think that the Padres would knowingly put him in harm's way, I think that's a bad thought. It's an untrue thought, because the Padres wanted to win that game too. So I don't think if Yu Darvish came to them and they knew, hey, my elbow, and this is for lack of a better term or phrase, is hanging by a thread, I don't think that they would start him. I think they would have gone in a different direction. I think they wanted to try and see if Yu Darvish could lean on that experience of pitching in big games and do some good stuff. And he didn't. He went an inning. So the chat is telling me, Trevor and Oscar, thank you. He did not get paid in 2024 when he was away from the team, which is what I thought. And really, it's not about the money. It's about what the team can invest in going forward. And it's less because they don't have this money. They have it on the books until 2028. And this is going to be interesting to see how the Padres handle this going forward. He says Yu Darvish seems like he wants to pitch again. So he can come back in 2027 at the age of 40. But do we think that at that point he's going to be the same kind of starter he was when he first came to the team? I don't think so. I don't know that a guy coming off UCL at the age of 40, UCL surgery at the age of 40, is necessarily the best way to go. And if he wants to pitch, he's the one who was offered the contract. He signed it. It's his choice whether or not he retires and voids the rest of the contract, or if he tries to make a comeback in 2027, which is what it sounds like he is going to do. I've never got the feeling that Yu Darvish was ever in it for some sort of money grab, ever. So I think we have to trust him when he says that he is going to try his best to get back in 2027, and we'll have to deal with what happens in 2027 because he's not going to pitch for the Padres in 2026. Just not going to happen. Feels like you're adding and subtracting all the time on this team. Dylan Cease, Michael King, choose free agency, and Yu Darvish is out. You get back Joe Musgrove, but you still got some holes to fill. And some of the free agents out there, I need to go to break. But on the other side, I'm going to give you those names of free agents, the big names, and see if there's anything out there that we like. Because the Padres are in the market now and they have been, but more than ever now, they're looking for a starting pitcher. So we will talk about that when we get back. Also, we'll talk about another thought on how the franchise is going to go the next couple years. So stick around. We will get to everything, I hope, here on the Skraby Show, 97.3 The Fan.
Hey, guys, it's Woodsy. Ever heard of Pro?
All guests on 97.3 The Fan join us on the David P. Shapiro Fan Hotline. David P. Shapiro, criminal defense attorneys helping good people regain control of their future. When charged with a crime since 2010, visit davidpshapirolaw.com. Matt Skraby with you here, Skraby Show. First of 3 Skraby shows this week. So we will have lots to talk about. Hopefully I get some more good news to talk about later in the week, but we're going to have to start with the bad news that Yu Darvish is going to be out for 2026. And, you know, we have to realize that the Dodgers won another World Series, but we'll get to that. And you remember that story I was saying at the beginning of the show? We might get to it. We might get to it. I don't know that we're going to get to it. So let's get back into the Yu Darvish conversation, all the tentacles that come off of that. And I guess the statement I wanted to make coming into this segment was about the team and about spending money and about roster construction. Like, we won't really know anything about the direction of the team until we know who owns the team and who is signing those checks. Tony and I were talking about this in the break. And we took the Twins, for example, because when and the Padres aren't selling or anything like that, but an owner wants to know when someone is looking to own a team, an owner wants to know what kind of debt they're on the hook for when they buy that team. And so this year, the Twins said they're going to sell the team. They sold off all their players. They decided not to sell the team, so they're still stuck with the team that they had. But a lot of people, same with the Nationals, a lot of people thought that the teams were shedding salary so that they could get an owner in there to buy it. So I know that's a completely different situation. But here with this team, there is, I believe there's still a court proceedings happening about who really owns the team and who Peter left the team to. So no one, right now, I can't say no one is in charge, but there's not a clear indication as to who is making the decisions and who is signing those checks. And I think in regards to, I think in regards to signing, I think in regards to signing big free agents, things like that, it might not be as easy as someone saying yes, because there could be different checks and balances within the organization with the lawsuit about who owns the team. So I think that the Padres are definitely going to be keeping their foot in the door and at least spending money to compete. I don't think that they're going to shed salary or anything like that, because they have told us all the time that they are really trying to win a World Series. And I believe them by their actions, because they have put out the money and they have put a product on the field that is one that could win a World Series. I know it's been a little disappointing over the years, but you can't fault them for not spending. They have definitely spent. But this whole Yu Darvish thing and how he's going to count for $16 million against their payroll next year, it hurts, because I don't know that an owner or someone who's signing the checks is like, we already got $16 million on the IL for the entire year. Do I really want to pay someone else $16 million on top of it? So now we're paying $32 million. Like, it doesn't really make sense to me in that way. Like, you don't want to add payroll, just add payroll. And so there's going to be a lot of interesting decisions that will be made. I believe the GM meetings are next week. So we'll have maybe some sort of indication as to where the Padres may start to go. And then you got the winter meetings in December. But I'm unsure of what the Padres will do this offseason. And when you're looking at some of the players out there, and granted, AJ Preller has found some gems here recently in Nick Pivetta and in Gavin Sheets. But when you're looking at some of the big name free agents that the Padres could go after, you're also looking at some big time price tags. And so according to Spot Track, the most valuable contract or projected contract this offseason for starting pitching is Framber Valdez, formerly of the Astros. He's being projected at $33 million a year. Shota Imanaga opted out of the Cubs contract, so he's being projected at $30 million. Ranger Suarez, $26 million. Dylan Cease, $26 million. Shane Bieber, $24 million projected. Michael King, $22 million projected. And I know that Michael King wants a longer-term deal. Probably, I would assume. Everybody wants to have job security. If he's projected at 22 and he's willing to take the 22, if the Padres extended him the qualifying offer of $22 million, then they would have him under contract for the year. It's only 1 year, though. So possibly, because he is a free agent, Michael King, a team could sign him to a 7-year deal. And if the Padres aren't into that, then they're going to have to say goodbye. But if you're looking for a big-time name pitcher, like, these guys are going to be very, very, very expensive. Very, very, very expensive. So I don't know that we're going to see a Framber Valdez in a Padres uniform or a Ranger Suarez. I can see them going with Dylan Cease again. I can. I know that that's not maybe the most attractive thing to fans out there because we've done the Dylan Cease thing, but I think Dylan Cease is a good starting pitcher who had a weird year, and if he does go to another team, I have a feeling that Padres fans are going to miss him because he makes every single start. He can go deep into games. He is a strikeout. What is the word I was looking for? A strikeout master. And another team will gladly pay him that money. That $26 million. Another team will gladly pay him that. So, again, there's a lot to figure out with the Padres. But the good thing is, and some people are going to roll their eyes, the good thing is they have a GM that is able to make things work when other GMs seemingly haven't made things work. So I just hope that the Padres, you know what? One of the fears that I had over the weekend too was, man, are we going to do one of those off seasons where we're not going to see any moves made by the Padres until like a week before spring training or 2 weeks into spring training? Because last year that was kind of hard to deal with all the other free agents going off the board. I have a feeling we're going to watch a lot of free agents go off the board. But I also have a feeling that the Padres are going to at least make one big splash. And that could be a Michael King, that could be a Dylan Cease, or it could be a Framber Valdez. I do think they're going to make one big splash here. So lots ahead. And I'm actually kind of excited that we are now talking free agency instead of talking about the playoffs still, because Padres being out of the playoffs is just hurtful. But we are now into 2026 mode, and I'm ready for 2026. I'm ready to see what they could do. Also, this just came to my mind, but I should let everybody know that sources are saying the hitting coach for the Padres, Victor Rodriguez, was being recruited by the Houston Astros. Looks like he's going to be the hitting coach for the Astros. They also Padres did not tender contracts to, I just lost the tweet. I had it. They did not tender. Oh, they declined the team options on Kyle Hart and Tyler Wade. They also declined the mutual option on Elias Diaz. So there you go. Everything is up to date. Roster construction begins today, or it began yesterday. But we're going to start getting more and more clarity as the weeks go along. At least we got to wait until the GM meetings next week to get a little bit of news. All right, when I get back, I'm going to go into this baseball payroll. And are the Dodgers good for baseball? Are the Mets good for baseball? I'm going to tell you why this all came to my mind, and we'll do that on the other side. But first, I would like to say to Renee, who is on the chat and is a very, very Good listener, listens all the time, very positive. 2 years, no alcohol today. So very, very good job, Renee. I'm got to get you the applause. That's no small feat. 2 years without alcohol is a very big deal, and I appreciate you for telling me. And I am really happy for you because that is hard. That is very hard, and everybody deserves credit when they get to a certain period of time, even if it's just a day. But every day is a different day, and that's how I've done nearly 9 years at this point. 8 years, 9 years. See, it's been so long since I drank, I don't even remember. But good job, Renee. That's very awesome to hear. And if anybody out there has any sort of celebrations like that, let me know. Let me know in the chat at the Skraby Show on YouTube, and I will shout you out because that is good stuff. All right, payroll, Dodgers. When we get back, 97.3 The Fan. Final segment on the Skraby Show. Again, if you'd like to go to my YouTube and subscribe, that would be amazing. At the Skraby Show. I am going to announce tomorrow when I will be doing the Rubik's Cube challenge that has made me really worried for about how bad I'm gonna look. Yeah. I have tried the Rubik's Cube a little bit, and I'm really nervous about it. I've also read some things online like, hey, it's really easy. It's just an algorithm. You do this, 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 and this. I'm not a math person, okay? I am not an algorithm person. In fact, one of the hardest things in school, I got really great grades. I was basically A's or B's, not really ever C's. But the only class I failed in high school was geometry. And the reason I failed geometry was because of the proofs that you have to do. I don't know why we had to do proofs in geometry, but they seriously made me consider dropping out of school. I was not good at that. Like, I was very good at, writing stories in the English class or history. Math, not good at all, as everybody already knows from some of the things I've said on the air over the years about my math skills. All right, 7 on the chat. 7 on the chat had a question about, which I think it's a good question. Cruise Schoolcraft won't be arriving until 2029. So basically, I believe what 7 is saying is like maybe they have some pitchers at the minor league level that they can use as a starter next year. Well, Cruise Schoolcraft is 18. He's a second overall prospect in the Padres system, but the ETA is 2029, probably because he's 18 and he needs some time to develop. I was just reading a few things about him and saying that, he was a two-way player in high school. He was a first baseman and a pitcher, but the professional ranks have wanted to make him a pitcher. He's 6'8", so that's massive, but he's a lefty, and so they're going to have to develop him over time. And I'm not sure why it jumped from 2028 to 2029, but those ETAs can be erased in a heartbeat, basically, because if he's good enough, they're going to use him. If he's good enough, he's going to be a part of the team. Like Blue Jays Trey Savage started the year in single A, and he made his way up. So it can happen. There could be someone in the Padres system that in spring training impresses everyone, and they give him a go in the starting rotation. But I'm not sure Cruz Schoolcraft is going to be the guy for this next season. But they do have some pitchers that are high up in their rankings, their prospect rankings, that could probably contribute here. Maybe not next year, but in the next couple years, because they're all very young. Like Cruz Schoolcraft, 18, Humberto Cruz, 18, Cash Mayfield, 20, Miguel Mendez, he's a little bit older, 23, but they're saying he could be up this year. So we're going to have to wait till spring training, but at the same time, you never know. Someone could come out of nowhere and be a contributor for the Padres in the starting rotation next year. Can't predict who that is. All right, I promise this. Let me just start by saying this once again. I would be saying this about the Yankees, Mets, Reds, whoever. This is not anti-Dodger. This is anti-baseball allowing this to happen. And this all started when I read something that Magic Johnson said about how he was having so much fun in Game 7. It was the loudest stadium he's ever been in. This is so great for baseball. And it is growing the game. I'm not going to lie about that. I can't deny that there is more international interest than ever. But I think at what expense? Because you're starting to see the disparity in baseball, the roster disparity, it's starting to get a little top heavy for some of the teams that make more money than other teams. And I need people to stop hiding behind it grows the game. Because at a certain point, it's not growing the game anymore. It's just stacking one team. And this, again, Dodgers, Mets, Red Sox, Yankees. It's not, it is growing the game, but you're also cannibalizing the fans that you already have, because fans here have been cheering for their teams for a long time. I've said this before and I'll say it again. I hate it when sports organizations, and it's now happening more than ever, I hate it when they turn their back on the people that got them there. And I feel like baseball, just like everything else in this world now, baseball only wants to make money. They do not care about roster or competitive balance is what I'm trying to say here. Bam says, but the 2 games to win, Jays just choked. I get it. I'm not saying that the Dodgers are going to win every year, but I'm going to say that the Dodgers and the Mets and the Yankees, they have better opportunities to pay guys than some of the smaller cities. And again, you have to play the games. You have to play the games. And it's like the AI stuff that we are going through right now. I'm going to take a little different turn. Some, warn of the dangers of AI and video faking and all that, but some praise it as like the next major technological advance since the internet itself. But of course, this is just baseball. So it's this whole thing is a much less important and totally entertainment sort of way. Baseball people might think this is great for them now because national writers love this. They think this is amazing. They think that a team that paid $585 million to their roster this year is a great thing for baseball. The only people I think that think this is good for baseball in the long run are anyone who likes or works for the Dodgers or the Mets or the Yankees, because those are the teams that are really, they have a leg up on other teams. And I'll explain why. I went through all the different valuations for the teams, and I know the valuation is not straight cash, homie, but it does open doors. It does open doors. And when you look at what the Dodgers have done over the since 2021, the Dodgers in 2021 were worth $3.57 billion. In 2025, this year, and this is from Forbes in March, $5.8 billion. So they have increased their value as an organization, as a business. Oh gosh, here we're doing math again. By 2.2-ish billion dollars. And that's just in 4 years. On the other hand, 2021, the Padres were worth $1.5 billion, according to Forbes. In 2025, the Padres were worth, at the beginning of the year, $2.1 billion. So the Padres have only gone up in valuation $600 million in the 4 years. The Dodgers have gone up in valuation over $2.2 billion with a B. With a B. And I'm not mad at the Dodgers for spending all this money and doing what they have been doing. I'm mad at baseball because baseball has let this get out of control. And the competitive balance tax may have scared teams in the past. It does not scare teams anymore. And it definitely does not scare the Dodgers. The only team to pay a luxury tax bill in each year since 2021, the Dodgers. The only other team to do 4 of the 5 seasons, the Padres. They had to reset last year. So I give the Padres a ton of credit. I give them a ton of credit for, paying that luxury tax and trying to put a winner on the field, even if it's going to cost them a little bit more. But what I'm talking about with the luxury tax not being a deterrent anymore, since 2021, the Dodgers have spent $356 million just on a tax. The whole tax thing behind it is prevention. Like, hey, you guys go over the tax 3 years in a row, you're going to have to pay 50% of your payroll over the tax, and that's your big penalty. And then if you're over $60 million over the tax, then you have to pay it, like in your third season, you have to pay a 60% surcharge. This is not stopping the Dodgers or the Mets from spending money. This is not stopping them from doing that. This is not a penalty. This is a cost of doing business for them. And again, before Dodgers fans come at me, I'm not mad at the Dodgers. I'm mad at baseball for letting it get out of control like this. And the deferred contracts, all of that stuff. When your team is worth $5.8 billion, and I said this yesterday, the Dodgers already recouped, according to June Lee, they already recouped the $700 million that they spent on Shohei Ohtani last year, just in ticket sales, merchandise, and sponsorships from overseas. They're playing a different game, as KG said in the text. They're playing an absolute different game. And when I say valuation isn't tied to cash, valuation helps you get cash. So the Dodgers, if they want to pay next year another, what did they pay this year? Their tax bill for this year, $168 million. $168 million. You know how many teams? There's 12 teams that would be below the Dodgers in payroll for their entire team, not just the tax bill. So again, I'll give credit to the Dodgers for being willing to spend that money. I will. I give credit to the Padres for being able to do what they do. But when you have teams that are so different in how much they're worth and so different in how they can pull money, it's not a level playing field. It's not. The Yankees, I think the Yankees deserve to be trash talked. They are the most valuable franchise in baseball. $8 billion in the beginning of the 2025 season. They only spend 4.73% of their valuation on their roster. The Dodgers at least spent 10. The Padres spent 13.48% on their roster. So what I'm saying here is there doesn't need to be a salary cap. There needs to be a salary floor. Has to be. And I don't know what that number is. But when other teams are trying to sign these guys, instead of offering a contract and then the Dodgers just offered $20 million more, it will start to spread it out a little bit. Because when the Marlins are only paying $85 million for their players, when they're only paying $85 million total for their entire roster, that does not help baseball. So I'm as mad at the top of the list as I am at the bottom of the list. Because if you're not going to even try to lure some of these players to other places, then it's always going to be stacked in the way at the top. It's always going to be stacked for the guys at the top. That's why other sports have these salary caps. And I know that the CBA is coming up soon, and I'm coming to the end of the show, but I'm going to keep going. Sorry, Adam. Hopefully he's not listening. But I'm going to... I forgot where I was going because I said I was going to go somewhere else. That's a bummer. That's when you're not spending, you're not helping out the health of the league. And some of these guys that own these teams or some of these investment groups, all they care about is money. All they care about is money. And when a team like the Dodgers is paying $356 million over 5 seasons in luxury tax, that tells me it is no longer a deterrent. That tells me they know if they pay that, they're just going to make a boatload more money. I definitely think that a $2.2 billion rise in valuation in your franchise should tell you something about the health of all of the sport. The Dodgers, doing great. But when you can go out and get a bunch of cash and pay a bunch of luxury tax, and it's not a big deal for them, then it's no longer a deterrent to me. No longer. All right, I'm trying to find something on the chat because someone else said, let's see, someone else said that they had some time with no alcohol, and I can't find it. I'm really sorry. I tried to, but I believe someone said that they just celebrated a what am I trying to say here? Now they've extended the time, I'm just not saying anything. They were trying to say that they reached a goal with their alcohol or no alcohol. So very good on you. I'm sorry I lost that.
What's annoying Skraby today? Let's find out. It's time for the Daily Gripe.
All right, Daily Gripe comes from our friend Dominic from the chat. And Dominic said his Daily Gripe is, all right, I know this one too. People turning left, but don't, and they have to yield to oncoming traffic, but they don't go into the intersection. So what I think Dominic is saying here, and I think it's a valid gripe, when you have to yield for the cars that are coming straight, and once they're done, you can turn left. But these cars are not in the middle of the intersection. So when the light goes from green to yellow, they're not going anyway. Or they're just leaving you behind and they're going through, but you're not going through. I like that does bother me. Go into the middle of the intersection, and when that light turns yellow and you can go, turn left. At least that gets you out of the way of everybody else. But then when you're not going into the intersection, you are sealing the fate of everyone behind you. Very nice gripe, Dominic. I do dislike that as well. I also dislike the people that are like on their phone and it's a green light and they don't go, and there's a ton of people that have already gone before them, and then they finally realize and then they go, and then you're stuck at the red light. That's annoying. Good gripe, Dominic. Let me know, people, if you have gripes out there, because as angry and frustrated as I am on a daily basis, I don't have a gripe every single day. All right, that is it for the Skraby Show. Art Winkler coming up next. And yeah, tomorrow we have another one. We have another Skraby Show. We got Alan Gonzalez on Gwen and Chris. We also have an Aztecs football player, Trey White. So we'll be back with you tomorrow at 2 p.m. Skraby Show at 6 p.m. Have a great night, everybody.